like to call to order the Ratcliffe City Council meeting for August 20th, 2019 at 6:30. If you will please rise as Councilman Palmer gives our invocation and remain standing for our pledge.
Let us pray. Father, we are so grateful to be in your presence, grateful to be here to conduct the business of this city. We ask that you give us wisdom and insight, that we may govern this city in such a way that it is beneficial to all of its citizens. We ask now that you would protect and bless those who are in harm's way as they fight for freedom. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Clerk, if you'll call roll, please.
Baker.
Present.
DeRoche.
Here.
Palmer.
Present.
Seabrooks. Here. Thompson.
Here.
Yates.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Can we have consideration approval of minutes for August 12th, 2019 work session?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Well, welcome everyone to our Ratcliffe City Council meeting. Appreciate you all coming here tonight at 6:30 to join us. So we have a informational portion of this meeting. This is as you all probably have heard over the past year, we have been working on a development site at Redmar Plaza. Those that have been in the community remember, Jack, I know you do, remember, and John, Terry, what Redmar used to be many, many years ago, and how that was a fast-growing area of our community. Well, since we've seen over the last 20 years quite a bit of blight and neglect, and an area that we should be seeing a lot more development out of. Almost $2.6 million of economic impact comes out of the installation. And so when you leave the gate, we don't see that. And so over many years, many of us, my predecessors, myself, have tried very hard to recruit a development or try to bring something there to that site. This is one of the first times that we've been able to actually get I believe, a great project, get everybody on board and all the landowners on board. And so I had the opportunity about a year ago to meet Matt Valenti with Cameron Group LLC. Matt's group is based out of Syracuse, New York, and Matt actually married a Louisville girl, and so that's actually why he ended up, I think you took her to Syracuse for a couple of years, but she didn't like it up there. She didn't like winter, so Matt ended up locating here in Louisville. And so Matt, through a mutual contact that we have, did look at the site and found interest in it. And so here about a year later, we hired the Commonwealth Economics with John Ferris to work on a TIF project. And that TIF project, which he'll explain, is tax increment financing. That tax increment financing is not a tax to the public. Let me be clear, that is not a tax to the public. What that is a tax that comes directly off the development site that is accrued by the developer, which John will explain. But ultimately, to get through this process and to move forward to try to get this project off the ground, we have to have a public hearing. We have to have a public hearing, and we have to have a night like tonight to get through that. So over the past few months, Matt and I have been working closely to bring this project to fruition where he can describe the overall concept of this project. And so Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you come up and address people here tonight.
Mr. Mayor and City Council for having me tonight. I'll just introduce myself really quick. My name is Matt Valenti with the Cameron Group out of Syracuse. I'm an alien, so. My wife is originally, as Katie said, from Louisville, born and raised. I've been in Louisville for 11 years in January. I've been doing development for 23 years. So I look young, I'm 46. And I have 4 kids, all in school in Louisville. My dad is one of my partners, and we've got 2 other partners. So, we started out as retail developers, and as the retail world changed, we got involved with it, and we started doing a lot of mixed-use projects where we've incorporated hotels, office, residential apartments, condos into, retail developments. As JJ mentioned, I just happened to be down at a soccer tournament in E-Town last summer for my son, and I had driven up and just wanted to check out Ratcliffe. I'd never been up to Fort Knox before. So in between games, drove up and saw Red Bar, and thought to myself, why are all the hotels down the south side of town? There's nothing here by the base. So we're Hilton developers as well, and I called the Hilton corporate guys actually in Memphis, and I called him and wanted to know how the hotels did down the south, and he said, actually, I know about that site. It's a really good site. You should do something there. So he put me in touch with JJ, and here we are a year later. I think that this site lends itself to hotels. What we've shown here on this site plan is 2 hotels. They may not be Hilton, but they could be Hilton products. But what we're showing right now are 220-room, approximately 120-room hotels. We're thinking one would be an extended stay, and one would be additional. The type of hotels I've thrown around names before, but like a Hilton Garden Inn and a Home 2 Suites, those types of labs. We also talked about doing apartments. This is actually the Pulau piece here, the former Kmart. This parcel, we think that we could get some apartments there on that site. It would lend itself really well. Community, we've been able to fit on this site plan about 144 apartments in that area. As part of creating a destination here with the hotels, we want to add some vibrant restaurants to the area. And they may or may not be national. When I was in Louisville, got some connections with some really good local operators out in Louisville. And I think, almost what may be even more successful than some national names would be some really good, better restaurateurs to invest in rapidly than our existing operators up in Louisville. And then we've actually shown a bunch of commercial office, could be a little bit of medical office, or traditional retail, boutique service type stuff. And we've shown about 115,000 square feet total of that. So that could be a mix of medical office, could be as much as like 80,000 square feet of medical office, and then some mixed in retail. And this is kind of the dream plan. It may come in phases. I don't want to promise that day one we're going to put a shovel in the ground and this will all open at once. But this is the master plan for the whole development. We've created kind of a nice view corridor off the corner of Knox Boulevard that would kind of run through the middle of the project. Some really nice public spaces. We've got a project in Syracuse on every Thursday night. We do a kind of like a concert series, and we have 700 people show up to it. And it's it's not a retail project similar to this that has mixed use stuff, but that's the sort of thing that we want to do and generate more business for the restaurants and for the retailers. So we would look at creating kind of some public spaces and public plazas that would be incorporated in the project. Maybe put on some street fairs during the summertime. That'll also increase foot traffic for the restaurants. Again, these are renderings, but this is the type of architecture that we've been thinking about. It won't be cookie cutter. It won't be one looking like everyone else. We'll have some diversity of architecture in the project. Some of that gets driven by the tenants, and then some of it just gets driven by some spec space that we'll design. That's about it on the project. We look forward, John will talk about the TIF. It's a $90+ million project as you're looking at it right there. We would love to be in the community and doing the project. Without the TIF, it doesn't make financial sense for us. But that being said, I think the TIF is a great mechanism that we've used in other municipalities and other states, and it makes a great partnership between the community and a developer to get to the end. So thank you all again for having me.
Your website, Cameron Buffalo.
CameronLLC.com.
See some in front of me. So, now you got anything to add?
Thank you very much again for having me.
Pleased to be.
Looking forward to it.
how we get there, to get to the point of creating this tax income finance district. John Ferris, I've known for several years, but John worked under Governor Ernie Fletcher. He also actually wrote the TIF for the state of Kentucky. So he is got a long list of projects that he's completed creating this. Some you probably mentioned, I'm sure you will through Bull and stuff. But to get to this point, to make this project happen, John has met with the council on several occasions, and John has shared with us how we get to help Matt and create this destination for him here in our community. So,
Mr. Ferris, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, thank you, council members and members of the public. And it's great to be here. Our firm, Commonwealth Economics, we've been around since 2007. We've worked on dozens of TIF projects across the Commonwealth. We've worked in a number of projects in Louisville and Lexington and Northern Kentucky, the bigger cities, but we've also worked in numerous smaller cities and municipalities, Ashland, Moorhead, even as small as Oak Grove, Kentucky. So we have seen a number of TIF projects. A lot of them have spurred development that otherwise wouldn't be there. I think the mayor started out correctly. I think one thing that's misunderstood about TIF projects, people think that there's new taxes. There are no new taxes or no change in tax rates for TIF projects, and they're very site specific. So how does it work? How does the concept work? I don't know if you can see up here, the print's a little small, but I'll explain it. Any city or county in the state of Kentucky can create a TIF. It's very specific to the footprint of the actual project. So what it says is you look at the city and the state, look at the amount of tax dollars that are being created on the site right now or over the last 3 years. And they look at that as the baseline. And then they look at, okay, if you put an actual project there, what are the new tax revenues that could be generated? And those new tax revenues that are generated are allowed to go back to pay generally for the public infrastructure that used to go, or that goes into the project. It used to be that the city and counties, when they were flush with cash, maybe didn't have pension issues or other financial issues, they would pay for all the infrastructure. But starting in the early 2000s, as the budgets got strapped and cities and counties weren't paying for the infrastructure, the TIF law was written in 2006, opened it up, allowed developers to take the risk, generally to pay for the infrastructure, to be paid back over time through the tax revenues that are created. Why is it good for cities and counties, especially if you're doing a state program and there's 5 state TIF programs? Is generally you see a bigger match from the state tax dollars that are created in the community instead of going to Frankfurt and not knowing where they go right back to your community, right back to that project to create the infrastructure for that project. So it's generally why they're seen as favorable. There have been a lot of successful TIF projects. The Omni Hotel is a successful TIF project in Louisville, as our number one city center project in Lexington, the Summit project in Lexington. I go all across the Commonwealth and show you examples of successful TIF projects. So again, the old revenues, you look at it, if that's $100 and you're now creating tax revenue on the site of $1,000, you would subtract that 100 from the 1,000 each year, and you get 900, and a percentage of that would go to pay back for infrastructure that's put on that site. So next slide. So what program are we looking at? State, like I said, there's 5 programs. This project qualifies for the state mixed use program. You're lucky there was a modification made to the legislation that allowed that generally you have to meet 3 conditions of blight. However, if you're located next to a military base, population of 25,000 or more, Fort Knox, and is one of the only 2 in the state that qualify for that. Obviously, you don't have to meet those conditions. So this project that was changed a while to benefit military communities with military bases. Project must have an investment between 20 and 200 million. This one's right around 90. We'll show that in a minute. The numbers. New economic activity for the state. The state comes in and says bring in new jobs, new stuff that's new. They have an independent consultant that looks at it as well for the state. There must be more than one use. It can't just be hospital or residential. You see in this, you have multiple uses. No retail establishment can be greater than 20,000 square feet. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a Walmart or a big box store in it. It just means you can't count the tax dollars that are created by that type of entity. Those will go directly to community and state and not be counted in the overall new tax base. Let's include pedestrian amenities, public spaces, which this project obviously does, and gives the ability to collect 80% of the incremental. And what's big here is the incremental sales tax. It's great that normally goes to Frankfurt, stays in Frankfurt, or goes to far eastern, far western Kentucky, comes back and is put back into your community, into the project. Next slide here. So this project, when we look at it from an economic, these are estimates. The whole program is receipts based. There are 3 audits, so you have to spend it to get it back, to receive it. These are estimates again. They're not actual numbers that have been spent, but these are what we estimate will be spent. The public infrastructure is about 14.1 million, so that would be eligible to be reimbursed through the tax dollars that are created on the site, which I'll show in a minute. Here's some of the other numbers for the expenditures. It was a $94 million project, approximately 109,000 square feet, with 241 hotel rooms and 100 residential housing units. So a big project, a really good project for your community. Next slide, please.
Hey, John, we'll take one break. He's gonna give you that mic. 'Cause
Oh, great.
Some of the
Yeah.
people watching, they can't hear, so.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He's gonna wind that real quick,
Absolutely.
and then just pull the,
How's that? Better? Okay, so $94 million project, and went through all the uses there. Definitely a mixed-use project with hotel, medical office, and residential pieces. How does the incremental tax revenue work? Again, it's all receipts-based, but we project in terms of total state and local taxes generated on the project over 20 years, about $90 million worth of taxes. Of that, local authorities would retain 19.1 million of incremental tax revenues that are not eligible for TIF, and approximately 13 million would go to the schools. So those aren't eligible for the TIF program. The state would also retain some, and the state would cap their participation at 14.1 or whatever the total infrastructure number is. It's the lower of that or the state's consultant's estimate of the net new activity brought on by the state. But because you're on a border, they'll probably look at this project fairly favorable. We never know what that exact number will be, but we think that this project would have a favorable review in Frankfurt. Next slide, please. So what does all that mean? There's a lot of numbers up here, but I think the thing to keep in mind is there's some taxes that are eligible for the TIF. There are some that are not. The state taxes are eligible. 80% of them can come back to pay for the public infrastructure. There are local taxes that are eligible. The state wants to see the local government participate. Everything the state is requiring is the local government do certain things like a public hearing, get a development plan, pass a local participation agreement before the application comes to Frankfurt. And that's a requirement. That's why we're here tonight. Again, we estimate that a lion's share of the tax increment financing dollars could come from state tax dollars and then be used to be reimburse the developer or whoever pays for the public infrastructure for the project. Next slide, please. So what are the next steps? Well, first we have a public hearing, then we establish a local TIF development area, which will have exact coordinates, and we'll be able to track, what are the new taxes created on that site, and then along with that participation agreement with the at the level that the city decides to participate for the TIP. And then all that will go to the Cabinet for Economic Development in Frankfurt, where they will where they will likely approve an agreement. Again, I'll stress this is all receipts-based, so if nothing happens, if there's no project, there's nothing that the city or state is out. It requires the developer generally to spend the dollars, public infrastructure dollars up front, and then for the project to be successful, those tax dollars be created and then reimbursed. A portion of those tax dollars would reimburse for public infrastructure. So our contact info, our website, we're Commonwealth Economics. If you have additional questions, feel free to contact us. But we've been working on these projects all over the state and have a pretty broad and deep knowledge of how tax increment financing works. And it is quite confusing here in Kentucky, and it works different than in other states, but we think it's a great program for local communities.
Yeah, you said if you want to set it up on the, you want to set it back up there. Thank you, John. All right, at this point, Mr. Pike, our city attorney, will explain the purpose of the public hearing and why, if anybody wants to speak, and how they go about that. This is your all's public hearing to make comments. It's not a question and answer period. So I'll turn over to Mr. Pike. You can explain it, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. The Kentucky Revised Statutes, which is our Kentucky state law, requires that if a city such as the city of Radcliffe is considering creating a tax increment financing district, the law requires that the public be given an opportunity to make comments. And so there are going to be two opportunities for the citizens to make comments. The first will be this evening at this time. And the second will be this upcoming Monday, August the 26th, 2019 at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, right here in this very room in the council chamber at Radcliffe City Hall. Again, that's Monday, August the 26th, 2019, 10 o'clock a.m. local time. That's 10 o'clock in the morning, Radcliffe City Hall here in the council chambers. That'll be the second opportunity for the public to be heard. The public does not have to come and speak, but this is an opportunity for the public to come, and if you want to come and make comments, if you want to provide testimony or evidence, the law allows you to do that. As the mayor said, this is really not a question and answer session. It's not an interrogation. It's not an interview, but it's an opportunity for the public to make comments. The law gives the public the right to do that. If you are going to come make your comments, come up here to the microphone at the podium. You'll need to introduce yourself, and then you can make your comments. We would ask in the interest of time that you keep your comments as concise and efficient as possible. We would also ask that you please don't be redundant and duplicative. If someone has already made other comments, then just use discretion in terms of repeating what everybody else has said. With that being in mind, we'll open the floor to the public, and if anyone wants to come up at this time, it's first come, first serve. And folks, let's do this before I forget. Anyone who thinks that they might speak tonight or provide evidence, if you will stand and raise your right hand. Thank you. And if you can, you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give in hearing tonight is the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Mr. Summers?
I understand this is not a question and answer, but I would like to, and I believe I'll probably speak for many people in our community.
Yeah, state your name and...
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Gary Summers.
Thank you.
I live here in Radcliffe. I believe many people would, especially there were some things last year that came up in the different council meetings and some things that are going to cost our community a pretty big chunk of change, some things that have to do with the state recouping cost of retirement funds and such, which are going to affect the bottom line of our city. And what I believe I and many would be interested in knowing would be any endeavor such as this is going to require a lot of upfront infrastructure spending to create the framework for all these beautiful things to occur. And I believe a lot of people would be interested in knowing what those costs are and where the funds would come from to create that infrastructure, and how that will affect the balance of our budget for the city on a yearly basis as this thing transpires. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Jeff, you were the only other one, I believe. I think you were the only one that...
Since I did take the testimony, I'll stand up for just a minute. Jeff Farmer with Simmons Realtors, realtor here in Radcliffe, and done a lot of commercial real estate. And I want to say thank you for you guys looking and believing in Radcliffe very much. I love the walkability score with the shops out on the road and having a lot of areas where you can just kind of walk down a nice shop and walk in and out of shops. Very nice. In the next meeting for Monday, I think what Mr. Summers might be getting at might help if you talk a little bit about how you plan to phase in, the project, so that there's kind of some awareness from the city how it might kind of grow from the different pieces. But I'll be here again Monday, and I'm all behind it. Godspeed.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Was anybody else on the list?
Anyone else wish to speak in the public hearing? Anyone else wish to speak tonight? And last call for the public hearing. Anyone else wish to speak? Thank you very much. That concludes the public hearing. We will now return to the regular agenda for the city council meeting. Do you want to take a short break? Or?
Yeah, I didn't know if anyone, you're more than welcome to stay. If anybody was just here to listen to that, I'll give you a few minutes if you want to exit. It's up to you. You're more welcome to stay, though. We love a crowd. So, yeah, I think your stuff's in my office. Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and drive safely.
Have a nice trip. Well, there goes our crowd. We shouldn't have let them leave.
What'd you say, Barbara?
So there goes our crowd. We shouldn't have let them leave.
I know.
It's freedom.
It's freedom.
It's America.
Well, do they know we got all this other stuff? Because some people were new. I don't think they understood all of that.
All right, thanks, man. See you.
Thank you.
Did you forget something?
Huh? Yeah, it's probably unlocked. Yeah, will you unlock it? John needs to get something. Sorry. Yeah, John got something in there.
Okay, so now, citizen comment.
I'm gonna tell. Hey, Tim, when you shut those doors and Kathy. You better be glad I'm here.
I wish you would try this one.
Oh, is that bad?
The one in the ponytail next to Mayor.
This is
The one
Ashley.
next to the mayor in the yellow tie.
Of course. I got something.
Thank you.
Do you want me to give it to her?
Yes.
Who's it?
I've been building all over the United States, $1 million.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you, sir. I'll make sure they get it.
All right, Chris, you want to hit that door? What's that? You want to shut that door, if you don't mind? I mean, since you're just sitting over there.
Just sitting there.
All right, we will reconvene here for our council meeting. At this time, we'll open the floor up to public comments. If anyone would like to come up and make a public comment, you have just state your name, and you have about 3 to 4 minutes to make your statement. All right, I'm going to close it out. All right, we'll move on to new business. All right, Mr. Pike, can I have, actually, let me get an introduction of a first reading of an ordinance, the City of Radcliffe ad valorem tax for general municipal purposes for fiscal year 2020.
Motion, introduce, I'll sponsor.
Sponsored by Councilwoman Baker.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. This is an ordinance levying City of Radcliffe ad valorem taxes for general municipal purposes for the fiscal year of 2020 on all taxable property within the taxing jurisdiction of the city on each $100 of calendar year 2019 assessed valuation as follows. On real property, .159, and personal property, .183, including real and personal property of public service companies. On privately owned and registered vehicles and watercraft, .199, and bank deposit tax, .00025. Be it ordained by the City of Radcliffe as follows. Section 1, that for the purposes of support of the government of the City of Radcliffe and the payment of its debts and expenses for the fiscal year 2020, there will be and hereby are levied ad valorem taxes on each $100 of the calendar year 2019 assessed valuation of all taxable property within the taxing jurisdiction of the city as follows. Paragraph A, real property and personal property. Personal property includes inventory, furniture, and fixtures of the business, including inventory held for resale, including real and personal property of public service companies on the Department of Revenue assessed valuation. Real property, $0.159. Personal property, $0.183. Bank deposit tax, $0.00025. Paragraph B, privately owned registered vehicles and watercraft not a part of inventory shall be taxed at a rate of $0.199. Section 2, that this ordinance shall become effective on the date of its passage and publication as required by law. That is the first reading, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. Next, we have an introduction of a first reading amending the City of Radcliffe's annual budget, fiscal year 2018-2019.
So moved.
Mr. Thompson.
Is that-
Thank you, sir. This is the ordinance amending the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2019 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of the city government. Whereas an annual budget proposal and message has been prepared and delivered to the City Council, and whereas the City Council has reviewed such budget proposal and made necessary modifications, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Section 1, that the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018 and ending June 30, 2019 is hereby amended as follows. On anticipated revenues, insurance premium taxes is amended under general fund to read $3,024,100. Total resources available is amended on revenues under general fund to read $12,353,600. On the appropriation side, the Administration Department under General Fund is amended to read $979,700. Public Works Department is amended under General Fund to read $1,791,300. Parks and Recreation Department is amended under General Fund to read $737,050. Total appropriations are amended to read $12,353,600. That is the first reading, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. Next on the agenda, we have the consideration approval of the police policies and procedures. The chief is outside out there. If there's any questions or anything we need to ask, I'm more happy to ask him to come in. If not, can we get
I'll make a motion that we approve the Radcliffe Police Department standard operating policies and procedures is number 8.1, audits and inspections. Do we want to do them together? Number 10.4, returning veterans. Number 11.4, training. Number 28.1, cellular telephone.
Thank you.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second by?
Second.
Thompson. We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion? No. Hearing none, can we have roll call vote, please?
Baker.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
DeRoche.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Seabrooks. Yes. Hicks.
Yes. Motion carries. Next, we have consideration approval of the 2019 Burn Justice Grant, or the JAG grant. We discussed that at the work session. Anybody have any questions on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the Burn 2019 Burn JAG Justice Assistance Grant, or the JAG program. Do you need the amount? Mr. Pike?
You can state it if you like, Ms. Baker, it's fine.
$10,646 is the total.
Yes, thank you.
But we'll get 8,000.
Yeah, we get 8,000. The sheriff's department gets the remainder.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Seabrooks. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, let's just explain that a little bit, because I said the total for the grant. The total grant's $10,646. Radcliffe would be retaining $8,146, and Hardin County Sheriff's Department would get $2,500. That's the way that's split up.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Anybody else? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
DeRoche?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Seabrooks?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have consideration approval of surplus list. That was a list that was given to you from our departments. We went over the majority of that in our work session. Did y'all have any time or any questions on those?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the surplus list. We want to do each one of them at a time, or
I'd do the whole- all of them.
just do them all? So, approve the Administrative Department and Economic Development, Planning and Development Department surplus list, Radcliffe Fire Department surplus list, and the Radcliffe Police Department surplus list.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Second by,
And Public Works.
Public Works, yeah.
we have a motion and a second. And keep in mind, just to the public, we will let you know when those bid processes will happen, or the auction site, where some of these will be placed on GovDeals, or where we'll have the auction at our Public Works house. So we'll notify you at the appropriate time. Anybody else? Hearing none. We have roll call vote, please.
Palmer?
Yes.
Seabrooks?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
DeRoche?
Yes.
All right, and the final agenda item is consideration approval of minutes for resurfacing bid 2019-2020. You all received that. What's that? Okay. You all received that bid last week. As you can see, Scotty's was the only one that did that. You all should have a resurfacing list that was associated with that. Do you have any questions on that list?
Make a motion that we approve the resurfacing bid and award Scotty's Paving an amount of $509,920.
Second.
2019-2020.
Correct.
Yep. We have a motion, we have a second by Ms. Baker. We have any discussion? You stated the amount in that motion.
He did.
Okay. Yes. All right, hearing none, can we have roll call vote, please?
Seabrooks? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
DeRoche?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right. That's pretty easy. Beth, you came all the way this way for nothing, didn't you? Thank you for coming, by the way. We appreciate you being here. And Beth Avery is our new, what is your official title? I know what you do, but what's your official title?
Vice President.
Vice President of our, just two of you, of Knox Regional Development Alliance. So welcome to the family, and congratulations on your new job. Yeah, you're welcome. So we're moving on to our mayor council comments. Who wants to start? Chris, you want to go?
I don't have anything.
Yep.
I'd like to kind of just introduce that GPS, which is Global Premier Soccer. They're sort of like the headquarters for competitive soccer, and they've chosen Radcliffe as their headquarters. The only problem is we don't have enough soccer field to host competitive games. So we were taking a look at maybe the 40 acres at Dolly Park, and we're trying to figure out, money and stuff like that, so there'll be more to come. Maybe I'll bring some representatives down to discuss it, but this is kind of just getting started. It's kind of brand new, so we'll see what happens, but I just want to kind of introduce it and see where we go with it. That's all I need.
Thank you. Ms. Seabrooks, Councilwoman.
Here's the list.
This coming Thursday at 8 a.m. in Vine Grove, we will have the Hardin County Chamber breakfast will be taking place. So hope to see everyone there. Mark your calendars, September 19th, the inaugural Entrepreneur Small Business Graduation will be taking place here in Radcliffe at the Colvin Community Center. We have the commencement speaker, Rashonda Lockhart-Lyas from All Is Fair in Love and Fashion, and also special remarks by Lieutenant Governor Hampton. All the public is invited to attend, and it is free. And we'll have like refreshments. And this is a partnership between Citizens Union Bank and Small Business Development Center. So we look forward to seeing all of you there. Also mark your calendar, September 21st, the 28th Annual Freedom Fund Banquet for the NAACP will be taking place at Sadowski Fieldhouse. And that's all I have.
What time did you say on the 19th?
On the 19th at 6 p.m.
Forgive now, forgive. Okay. All right, do you have anything else? Hey, don't you say nothing.
I got nothing.
Mr. Palmer, sir.
Gospel in Park starts at Radcliffe City Park North every Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Free refreshments, free music on the hillside at the amphitheater. The public is invited, so come on out, enjoy some free music, free refreshments. Every Sunday evening, 6 p.m. And I'm collecting checks.
Did you happen to get anything on this end of the table?
Yes, I got something from my colleagues on that end of the table. I'm just waiting for the mayor to write that big check.
I literally reached him out. Go
Everything
ahead.
should be settled. Him and T.W. Short, if I can get those two on the way out, I'll be set. Expenses will be met just with these two guys here.
So Chris did give you his money.
Chris gave me his money.
The question is, did the mayor give you his
I'm
money?
going to get it right now. It's in my other britches.
Not yet.
Go ahead, Sam.
Checks in the mail, just like the IRS.
Radcliffe Small Business Alliance will be hosting a ribbon cutting for Cheetah Clean on August the 31st. They're having an open house grand opening from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The ribbon cutting will take place at noon. On September the 14th, we will be celebrating the first annual Radcliffe Cultural Festival. The day starts out, I believe there's going to be a pancake breakfast starting at 7 o'clock, 7 to 9, followed by the parade that will start at 10. The festival will actually start at 11 and run till dusk. We are celebrating the diversity within the city of Radcliffe and within the county. We welcome anyone and everyone that would like to participate, either through your culture, the dress, music, dance, all the festivities that come with each of those cultures. So if you haven't signed up already, please do so. Please contact Toshi Merle or myself. We have a Facebook page, so please look up Radcliffe Cultural Festival. There is an application on the site. We would love to have everyone. We have a great community, and we just want to make sure we celebrate our community. There will be food, crafts, arts, dance, music.
Fashion show.
Fashion show, thank you very much, appreciate that. Yes, we will have a fashion show, and we're looking for a big crowd for the fashion show, dressed in all of the traditional attire from the various countries. So, looking forward to having everyone be with us that day. It will be a full-day celebration.
Councilwoman Baker. Thank you.
The only thing I have is kind of to, I guess, a spin-off to Pam. For the city parade, then anybody that was interested in that, your group, your sports teams, clubs, anybody, businesses, if you want to participate in that, please get with Colvin Community Center. They're heading that up, and they'll get you signed right up. And it's free, by the way, and you can disperse candy to the children.
All right, you had something on that?
I did forget something really, really big. So Radcliffe, we have a grand opening this Thursday at noon for Priceless Food. So the entire community come out and celebrate our new business that's going to be grand opening.
Yep, I got my little card in the mail today,
time
or
is
the
that?
flyer.
12.
So I'm going to teach you all a valuable lesson that my father taught me as a very young child.
Here we go.
Anytime you pass money, you make sure the attorney touches it first. Would you pass that?
You're a good man.
Well, he's got to get his cut.
It was a softball, and I hit it out of the park. What can I say?
Mr. Mayor, you didn't think about the lawyer's got to get his cut.
That's why I wanted Mike to touch it. Thank you, Mr. Pike.
Most lawyers can only divide by 3. That's the only arithmetic they know.
I'd like to just add again one more time. The GPS is a big deal, and to be selected, Ratcliffe being selected is a big deal, because if we can pull this off right, we can bring in competitive soccer from not just Kentucky, but other states too, and that's going to be a big tax deal for the city. Hotels, restaurants, they have to have a place to stay when they come here to compete. So we're kind of looking for ideas for funding. I have my eye on some land. I talked to the mayor about it. And of course, there's going to be a little bit more talk, and maybe I'll bring some representatives up here and stuff like that. But it is a big deal, so we'll see what happens.
Come over here, just talking. Love it.
Well, real quick, I'll wrap up. Most everything's been said. Parade, please sign up. We've always had a good turnout. We appreciate the people coming out, the youth groups, the organizations. It's always a good turnout, good time, so we appreciate that. Real quick, just to touch real quick on the Red Mar project. You know, we're a year in, just about a year. It's a long process. We're about 3 months, 4 months still out from the state side and getting those revenues through. Ultimately, the developer can't purchase the properties until the TIF process is complete, because anything that he puts into that site prior to the TIF being completed, he cannot recoup. And so a lot of people, I was just watching something on the news earlier, WOKY, where they have a Jeffersonville, it's right across the bridge, some development that's going on there. They have a Kroger's there. Chick-fil-A announced just recently that's going there. That's a 5-year process that's been going on there. And so this is great. This is an opportunity, but we're a long way from the finish line. And so we'll keep at it. We'll keep chomping away at it. Council's been great, supportive. Plenty of leeway to try to get this project off the ground. It's just, it's a monumental task at $94 million. I'd be happy if we got the 2 hotels going tomorrow. So we're working, and we hope that you all understand that, but we hope at the end game, 5 years from now, 6 years, however long it takes, will be what that top left picture looks like. So
thank you for all your hard work, Mayor. You've been very instrumental in this.
A lot of Motrin today.
Well, you're not feeling well today is the reason, but we couldn't do this without you, without your leadership and guidance. So.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. Well, with that being said, I'm going to let Mr. Palmer make the motion to adjourn, just so, because he got my money.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?